Hello, and welcome back to C-Suite, a CEO Chat. That's right. I am your host. I am Shawanna Kennedy. I am super excited to be here today. In this space, in this place, we get to talk to people from all over the globe about what it looks to what? The good, the bad, and sometimes ugly of being a CEO, being an innovator, being someone that is a visionary. And today I have someone, a young lady, who is none short of all of that. She is an innovator. She's a powerhouse. She's actually an award-winning technologist. She has been pulled into some of this world's greatest things, and she got some stuff that she can tell us and show us. I know this is not her first time to the C-Suite, and I love to check in with her. It's been a couple of years since we've been able to have a chat, and I'm super excited to have with me today. You're gonna love her too, so already get yourself ready to load up the comments. Make sure you're gonna even be following her. This is my guest, none other than the magnificent, the brilliant, the talented Bianca J. Jackson.
Well, hello. Hi.
Welcome back to the C-Suite. We talk often about what it looks like to be good, bad, and ugly in the positions that we are put in, or that God has blessed us to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking those opportunities, which you have done wonderfully, and using your voice and helping others to do the same, helping them to innovate in those spaces. So just in case someone don't know who you are, I know your resume is quite extensive. What did I say in your intro that you want to make sure that people know about Bianca J. Jackson?
Oh, I mean, you let my media friends tell you it would be that I actually led a Pulitzer Prize winning technology project. And so that's the thing that they always want me, that they always want me to talk about. But it's interesting because I just feel like I'm just an around the way girl who just happened to know some stuff. So no, I'm glad to be here.
But that's why you're relatable. And because you are a forward thinker, you're an early adapter, which helps the culture.
Okay.
Hello. I'll say that for the people.
Okay.
It really does. It helps the culture. To me, I know. Look, there is. I know I look young as Bianca, but there is an age gap. But so she kind of keep people like me on my toes to kind of know what to look for and just be. You're a voice. You actually are a voice that people tend to lean into, especially when it comes to innovation and technology. I know I do. Because I'm like, well, if Bianca is on that or saying, hey, you might want to lean your ear that way, I tend to kind of pay attention when you saying, hey, especially when you come from behind the scenes and you like, hey, I got something to say. I want to jump into the questions that I have for you, especially when it comes to your innovation. Now, you're known for turning community insights into innovation. So how does being a CEO, what do you do as it relates to those strategies to inform people? So it's not just trendy, but they're actually driving the people in a better direction.
I mean, that's a great question. And so I was actually just working on something earlier, as I said, I was writing, where I talked about that, right? So community insights. I think that when people design things, when organizations design things, sometimes they do it without community input, without community voice. And so as a part of our framework of my company is that we actually listen to people first. We listen to community, we interview them, we do focus groups. We'll go read comments on social media. So do like something called sentiment analysis, or just try to figure out how people feel and let that drive, let the community insights drive whatever we're doing. So I think that's the most important thing, that in any body, any institution, any organization, any business, you should be listening to the people that you're trying to serve, right? And so being able to take their data and their insights and to create something that will, I like to call it like designing with empowerment, right? Like how can we design something that doesn't make people dependent on it, but it gives them the tools to get to the next step or to even get to the finish line, right? And so the third part of that framework for us is specifically iterating, right? Like making changes with those same voices. Sometimes what you'll see with events and products, like with anything, is the person with the highest amount of money. right? That gets to determine the direction of whatever the thing is. And so I just tried to remind our clients and the people that we work with is that, you know, you got to build for the people. Without people, you don't have anything. So don't let someone's piggy bank derail an event, a school, like anything where there are people who are actually the end users of that thing.
I want to know, and what I have to ask too, once again, is
Mhm.
what even made you want to get into this? Like why this? I know in our last conversation from a while back, you were like the metaverse, right? What made you want to get into this? Like what happened? What was going on?
I mean, good question. I would say this. I've been in tech. First of all, I fell in love with tech when I was 10, right? So I've been coding, building things ever since. And so I lived in a neighborhood where most people didn't have computers in their homes. They didn't have internet. So this is like during the 90s, right? When I asked my parents for the computer, they didn't quite know what it was and why I wanted it, but they just got it for me anyway. And my mom told a really interesting story. She said she actually put it on layaway. So shout out to all the places that if you know about layaway, how old that thing is, but essentially is you have a store hold something for you. You put down like a deposit and you pay on it every month or every week until you have enough money to pay off the balance of it. So that's what my mom did, and she got me this computer. And so I would say it came from a love of just wanting to know how this little box could change the world. And then in addition to that, my first job while I was in college was for the school district, right? And so I sit back and I think about public education, technology, information systems, the movement of information with technology. And one of the things I realized, it actually just came to this realization over the last couple of years, is that beginning for me was literally the establishing of this core that I have of using technology for good, right? Using technology to improve lives, using technology to get people resources that they're not used to getting. And so when you ask why this, I guess a little bit of like faith in like natural order of things. Because the computer at the time was just becoming a household thing in the 90s, right? And so now it being almost 30 something years later, which sounds crazy to even think about, right? I still see so many problems that can be solved, and not necessarily solved with technology itself, but solved with community voices plus technology, and finding ways to get people the things that they need in community. So that's why. It sounds cheesy. I really do want to change the world, but I do understand that we only can change the world when people change themselves. And so I know that's a long roundabout.
No, you know what? I'm just sitting here smiling because to have known you for a few years and watch you by far grow and expand, because you've always been brilliant from the moment that I had the opportunity to meet you in a group. Mm-hmm. And just to watch you still be as innovative, as bright, as sharp. It really do. It look, you would think I was an auntie, y'all, because it makes me feel proud. It really does. It makes me feel proud of what it is that you're doing, and that you are a voice that I would want my children to listen to, right? That I would want my children to listen to. And you can definitely tell that you sit on panels. You can definitely hear the knowledge that you have, the education that you have, by even just your responses is something that you speak with passion. Like I hear it. It doesn't sound like as if you're, finna win Miss USA or something. And really, you know what I'm saying? When you'd be like, they have the perfect answer. Yeah. It's because I've seen you, I've watched you from afar, like I said, and you really do walk what you talk. Okay. You walk what you talk. You have testimonies upon testimonials, and people that would raise their hand, and if they say yes, who do you need in the room as it relates to this area and this sector, it would be Bianca J. Jackson. So y'all make sure y'all follow her over on LinkedIn right now. If you're not doing it, show her some love in the comments. We're going to make sure that you have all of her information right below somewhere around here. So make sure that you are doing that right now. What I want to know because of that, when you think about with AI transforming every sector, how can you help people to use it, different organizations to really consider that and use it responsibly?
Yes. No, that's a great question. I just finished up an EIR. So basically that stands for Entrepreneur in Residence. So I was that for an organization. Their short name is BIA. The long name is Black Innovation Alliance, right? And so I spent 3 years there actually doing the work that you're talking about, right? AI literacy, AI training, start talking about ethical use. And so I think it starts with conversation and curiosity of what organizations should be doing. But I will say this, the models are moving fast. And when I say models, it's the core, the foundation of what these tools are made of, right? And so 2 to 3 years ago, if you tried to generate an image, it would look kind of maybe cartoonish, right? Now it's looking like somebody's National Geographic photographer laying down in the middle of the Serengeti shooting a gazelle. It's moving at such a fast rate, and I don't want to scare people, but what I do want to do is encourage you to start using some of the tools, start reading about some of the concerns, ethical concerns, and just concerns in general, environmental concerns. But I think that when people just start playing around and get familiar, you don't have to become an expert. Some of these questions you'll begin to have yourself around ethical use and how you could use it for good. So I'm always focused on what are the best uses of this, and then leave my climate heroes to the charge of, really tackling some of the other stuff that I know that they have way more deeper knowledge on than I do. So
I don't know. You can kind of run some rings around some folks that I know. I'm just saying. Now, you being the founder of the BrickRose Exchange, bravo on that. Bravo on that. To build tech and community, what gap do you see that traditional tech world kind of ignore? What is something that you see that's still being even ignored after all of this?
Yeah, I think I kind of hinted on it earlier, which is that community voice, right? Like everybody wants to hurry up and put out a product without doing any user testing, not doing any user interviews, not talking to real people. It's always like this afterthought, like when a product's not doing well, that now people want to do testing. And so the really interesting thing about that is a really big tech company, I can't name them because I'm under NDA, brought us in. So me and a group of women to talk about the metaverse and safety in the metaverse, specifically for women. So in virtual reality. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, we were giving our opinions over 2.5 days or whatever. And I was just sitting here like, but you guys wouldn't even have to be here had you done this upfront. Like if, women were consulted around safety, and which I think is really interesting. And I think that is something that applies to a lot of places. Anytime someone is the victim, right? In this particular case, we're talking about women and their safety in the metaverse. What I thought was really interesting, we had some conversations about how to give women tools to protect themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's this whole thought of always preparing the victim to not be victimized, which is crazy, where you can design in a way that unsafe environments never become an issue in the first place. So you see the same type of logic, unfortunately, in sexual assault, right? Like they'll be like, well, what was she wearing? Mm-hmm. So, like, how can you make sure that people don't slip things in people's drinks? Like, it doesn't matter what she was wearing, right? And so kind of going back to the question, I still think that community voice is a large gap, and it's going to become larger because now people can do things so quickly with AI that they think that they don't need to talk to real people, which I think is a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is so good because it makes me want to think, but then with all of that, what do you believe one is the boldest moves? Because this is the C-suite. And when we think about entrepreneurs, what can you say to a CEO right now that's I'm still shocked. I'll say this. Mm-hmm. When I have conversations with some folk who still haven't leaned into certain things as it relates to even AI. People who really don't even know how to properly or have just now leaned into things like Chat GPT. What could you say to those people? It's like, because they will be left behind if they don't in some way lean in, right?
Yeah, I would say I agree. If you don't get some exposure, you will be left behind, very similar to all the businesses that closed during the pandemic that didn't have websites, right? I think that just getting some introduction to at least one tool. So it could be a Chat GPT, it could be a Gemini, it could be a Claude, it could be a Midjourney. Midjourney is like image creation. Some of your normal regular tools are starting to embed AI in them. And the really interesting thing is a lot of people interact with AI every day and they just don't know it. So if you are one of, I would like to call them Amazon fiends, they have a personalization engine that is ran by AI. Like it knows what to show you. So you click add to cart, right? And then buy. So I already know that AI has been a part of our lives for a really long time. I would say mainstream tools like, Gemini, ChatGPT, and others have just recently hit the market, maybe about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But AI has been around. And so don't let potential efficiency gains lose you, because like I know for me, one of the things that I do is I have a tool that listens to my meetings and then it gives me the notes, right? There's another tool that I can actually set up, have it go to my meetings, create the action items and put it in my project management plan. So I haven't done that yet, but like just those types of things can really help, especially solo founders, right? Solo CEOs who may be a team of one, that, if you start implementing some of these tools, you can probably get a whole lot more work done. And I'll give you this example. One of my business partners, he gave a really glowing testimony because I showed him how to use different types of AI. So from last tax year to the year before, I think he made an extra 6 figures because he was using it. I'm glad the eyebrows went up. Yes, an extra 6 figures just by using different tools to get work done faster and to get work done. How sometimes I think we're procrastinators because in our minds we convince ourselves that something's going to be a whole lot harder than what it probably winds up being, right? And so you sit on that thing probably for months. Imagine using the tools to get through that in a couple of hours. And so I like to encourage people, because I know people need different modes of communication, motivation, I should say. So if it's 100K, let that be your motivation. If that's, something that normally would take you 2 months to do and you can do it in 3 hours, let that be your motivation. There are even tools out there that are employees, right? AI employees, you can give them stuff to do and they do it while you sleep. So I think right now I'm going to pull out the world's the tiniest violin for all the people who are still not using AI. It's like, okay, you can keep playing around with you if you want to, but at some point, somebody's going to figure out how to do what you do, and they're going to do it faster with AI. So the last point that I'll say about this, which I think is interesting, is that most people think of AI, they think like the Terminator. They think the Terminator is going to show up to their house. No, what's going to happen is the person who knows how to use AI is going to go get your bag.
Yeah. Everybody envisions too, the Terminator, and then even the ones that not in tune with that is iRobot, right? Because that was a way ahead of its time. But then some of the stuff that was occurring is literally happening right now, right? Some of the stuff that we saw during that film, it is literally happening right now.
Yeah.
When you think about that, how do you help teams innovate under some of these pressures?
Great question. So going back to the nonprofit where I served as the EIR, the funny thing is I spent the whole year kind of like taunting them, but in a playful taunt, right? I was there doing other type of work around like evaluating events. So every so often I would say in these team meetings, I said, why aren't y'all using AI? Like this could be a whole lot easier. Why are you using AI? It wouldn't take you this many hours. It could be done in a matter of minutes. Why aren't you using AI? Y'all thinking too hard. Y'all working too hard. So after a year of taunting them, the CEO came to me and said, all right, Bianca, can you design something around AI for us? I said, what do you want? And she goes, I don't know, figure it out. Bam, perfect situation for me because it allows me to think of everything that is possible. So I wound up creating, I would like to call it think like 4 quadrants, right? Like a grid. So each quadrant had a particular area. One was around operational efficiency. So the systems internally that they were using to run the business was something that I was going to tackle in this AI literacy training type of program that I developed for them. The second quadrant had to do with staff training and literacy. So making sure that the staff knew how to use AI, how to use different tools, what tools would be really helpful for their workflows on the department level. So that was great. The third quadrant was around their members. So they served 180 entrepreneur support organizations around the world. So I designed kind of like a competition for the members to learn more about AI. So that was the third quadrant. And then the fourth one was just general information for the public. As kind of like a lead magnet, kind of draw them into the organization. And so I think it looks something like that, right? Like you got to find ways to talk to organizations, not just for them, but also to serve their customer. So you're serving your customer's customer, right? So in their case, their customer primarily was funders and sponsors. And so how could we create the programs and make sure that the initiatives and the deliverables spoke to things that the funders and the sponsors cared about? And so they cared about all of those things, how we kind of defined it. And so I'm just going to say it again. It's not if you want to use AI, it's when you're using AI. And that when literally should have been like 2 years ago to get started.
Really? Yeah. With that thought too, something recently, friend/coach has even been talking about, and I want to know your thoughts on AEO.
Okay.
When you think about the answer generated, because we know when we think about AI and we think about search optimization, because remember, this is C-suite, which means that you're talking about to the business owners and entrepreneurs or potential and us. And one of the things that you mentioned, which is, of course, anybody know that is my jam. And I tell people because they was like, well, I could still make money without having a website. Yeah, actually you could. However, before people ever get us on the phone, they are searching us out, and we have to be findable. And one of which is in some way having visibility. So even before the AEO, I want you to even speak to that, not just AI, but even the visibility of who we are as visionaries. If we're visionaries, but we're never visible, that's an issue. That's a problem.
Let me tell you my best story for this. So I had spent some time, I think last year, updating like my personal website, updating my business website. And I wasn't even thinking much about it, right? So going back to that tech company that I cannot name because I'm under NDA, they randomly found me because of the keywords that was in my website. I'm talking, I was one of 12 women selected from around the world.
Wow.
Around the world. I just happened to be in the US. They have a headquarters in the US. Some of the women were from like Brazil, UK, but literally one of 12 women from around the world, just because I had a website that had keywords on it that they were looking for. So and I'm still blown away when I think about it. Like I was so geeked out. Like when I was there, I said, how did y'all find me?
Yeah.
I was so confused. But I'm glad that they did. And so they're like, yeah, I think we did a couple of searches and we just found you, because I wasn't in any of their networks. Like, I'm on LinkedIn. So that's another place that, that I love, having.
Know that I have to say that, look, I have to say that for those that are listening, she is considered one of the biggest over on LinkedIn. She is a LinkedIn leader. They actually tune in and tap into her and pull from her expertise over in LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I appreciate that. So yeah, so if you don't at least have a website, at least have a presence on LinkedIn, because your page is searchable through Google. Like Google search engine has indexed all of LinkedIn's public pages. So if somebody's looking for something, they might find you. But yeah, I think visibility is important. If you're an introvert like me, you don't want to be at all the things, at all the events. And so sometimes you got to find ways to bring people to you.
Yeah, because it's still well, you know, I be having mixed emotion, like all the different emojis, especially when you get the opportunity to talk to brilliant minds. And like you said, a lot of them, they are introverts, right? I'm the extra introvert, right? I love people, but I'm okay by myself. Yeah. But it's like people need to know what you do. People need to see who you are, and there are ways around that. And that's why I continue to preach it, if you will, to say we have got to be seen, heard, and known for our brilliance. And hey, if we're being real, this is C-suite. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with making money for what it is that we are graced to do. Mm-hmm. I want to lean into what is your thoughts when it talk about, because you talked about the indexing of the things, and now with this answer generated optimization, what is your thoughts as things start to even turn towards that? Because we know hashtags, you know, hey, they still exist, but they're not as important. You talked about even keywords. We know keywords are important. One of your biggest folks that you've been able to tap into found you due to certain keywords on your website. Mm-hmm. And you get a website, even if it's a landing page, even if it's a one pager to give your stuff. I just got to say that for who's listening. Please do your business some justice. Yes. Please. I don't care if it's a one pager to give the meat and potatoes on a one page with some way to contact you. Please, folks, I have to say that. But when we think about the answer generated and the rich keywords and being searchable and being findable, what is your thoughts on that answer generated content?
When you say intergenerated content, do you mean blogs?
In blogs, and like for right now, when we think you mentioned, even we talked a little bit about ChatGPT. You know how now ChatGPT will even suggest, and it'll tell you like where it's found, like where things are found. Like right now, it's funny and it's cute. One of my nieces recently did a search, and she texted me and she took a couple of screenshots, and she was like, "Auntie, ChatGPT know you." Yeah. And it was funny because even like you know, my youngest still in high school, and they were saying, you know, and she tell people about, you know, they'd be like, well, what do your parents do, stuff like that, and then what do? They Google you. And it's the importance of, with all of the machines, all AI talking to each other, and they're now, you know, things are talking to each other, whether we want them to or not.
Yeah.
It's being the answer. It's being findable, but then you being the answer. Mm-hmm. If you are the answer, that's why we do have to then be mindful of how we structure our blogs. What mm-hmm. does that look like? So then when ChatGPT and other AI is looking for the answer, what you put out, they're saying you are the resource. You mm-hmm. are the expert.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I love this question because someone had mentioned to me using ChatGPT kind of like as SEO, so search engine marketing, right? So it's something that I need to come back to. But I think I'll put my secret out here. What I normally do when I talk to it in third person. So I'll talk to it about me. So I'm like, so what do Bianca need to do? How should Bianca position, you know, her company, BrickRose? So I'll talk to it in third person. It knows that it's talking to me, but I like talking to it that way. And I guess it has worked out because even a friend of mine's, my friend who's the media expert, she's like, girl, you know, ChatGPT knows about you. I said, yeah, I know it knows about me because I purposely talk to it so that it knows about me because I'm talking to it about me. It's almost like thinking about controlling the narrative. every so often you should, if you don't already have an alert set up for anything that mentions your name, that it shows up in your inbox. So if you don't have that Google alert set, please do. But I like to have an idea of articles, just websites, web postings, blogs that are mentioning me and mentioning my business, so that I have an idea of the narrative that is out on the interwebs. So
Yes.
I think all of it is important, and it's not enough just to have a website. Like, you need to have work that's out there that people can see. So in Shawanna's case is, content creation, videos. I'm not sure if you're doing a lot of speaking engagements, kind of like what you were doing before, but like being in control of your narrative of who the world thinks you are and who the world thinks your business represents or what you do is up to you. So I think that's something that people need to put high priority.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. This conversation, if you already is not tuned in, tapped in, showing love in the comments, please do make sure you are liking, subscribing, and following because you might actually be our next guest. I'm just with this conversation. Y'all already know we're going to have Bianca back because, girl, you know your stuff. I'm just, hey.
I mean, I like to say I read a book once.
You better say that. And that's the thing too, when we think about CEOs, some of them are a little bit shy. It's the whole way that we've been told, oh, too much is too much, or be humble. You can be humble and still brag. You right? Because they don't know what it took for some folks to get to where they are in their businesses. And you have to celebrate. You have to celebrate in the middle. You have to celebrate at all stages. And that's why it's the good, the bad, and the sometimes ugly, because it won't always be pretty. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. I want to know, what is one final thought that you would like to leave with our viewers today, Miss Bianca?
Start now. I think that's the best thing. Start now when it comes to AI and the different tools that are out there. Start now with controlling the narrative of what's out there about you and your business. Start now with learning about things that scare you. Start now to start learning about things that excite you. Like, the perfect moment is always now. So I think that's the last message that I want to leave people.
Ooh, y'all heard it. Y'all hear it. That's right. You tuned in. You tapped in. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your host of C-Suite, a CEO Chat. And today, my amazing, beautiful, talented, genius of a guest is none other than Miss Bianca J. Jackson. I'm going to make sure that you have all her information. Y'all already know. Make sure you tuned in. We appreciate you. We're going to just tell the people bye for now. Bianca, tell them bye. Thank y'all. See you next time. This episode is brought to you by Kennedy Media and Entertainment, your premier video productions and digital visibility partner. Working with business owners just like you to be seen, heard, and paid by elevating your brand with high-impact video content, online visibility strategies, and expert social media management. Ready to stand out in your industry, on and off camera? Contact Kennedy Media today, and let's turn your message into a movement, because visibility isn't optional, it's essential. Contact KennedyMediaLLC.com, KennedyMediaLLC.com, and let's boost your brand's visibility. It's time for you to be seen, heard, and known for your expertise. Contact us today.